Good morning. You listen to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning, my guest is Darius Helm, who's executive editor with Floor Focus magazine. Darius, how you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
You just went to a show, the BDNY show, which stands for the Boutique Design Trade Fair, and it was on Sunday and Monday. You attended Monday, correct?
I did. It was at the Javits Center in New York, and I haven't been to the show before, and I think this was maybe the fourth or fifth year of the show.
Yeah, it's the fifth year. I do know a little bit of background on it. There's about 5,000 designers that come to this show. They say there's 500 exhibitors and about 70,000 square feet. The neat thing about this show is it's co-located with the International Hotel Motel Restaurant Show. So a lot of what's on display is related to the hospitality market, right?
Yeah, but I think those two shows are fundamentally different in the sense that the BDNY is sort of the front of house, and the other one is the back of house.
Okay.
So you go through and you see entirely different sides of the business as you walk through those two shows, which are on the same level.
So this one's all about interior design materials that are used in hotel, motels, and restaurants, right?
Yeah, so the FF&E. And there was lighting, plenty of flooring. I mean, it seems like all of the important players were there.
So tell us, we risk you missing somebody, but tell us who you saw there.
Well, I'll go quickly through. Here's the big bunch of folks I saw. Shaw Hospitality, Oriental Weavers Hospitality, Interface, Lexmark, Porcelanosa, Aquafil, Nurasan, Maslin, the Stonehard Group, which includes Fritz, the Terrazzo People, Expanco, and Liquid Elements. Northwest was there. And then North Star Flooring Designs, which is part of Cherokee, and that's the company run by Annie Eaton. Then there was Signature, Kuristan, Stark, Ulster, and then I saw Healthier Choice. Taiping, they call their hospitality group 1956 by Taiping. Then there were two firms that were new to me. One is Crossley Axminster, which operates out of South Africa. And then another one was called ICE. It's not a new player. They're from Holland, but they're new in this market. This is the first show that they've attended in this market, and of course they were pleased. It was a good show.
Okay, well, one of the things that I think is very interesting, obviously in this space, hospitality, there's a show every year in Vegas that's called HD, Hospitality Design Show, and that's considered the show. But this show has been growing and drawing attention. It's one of the reasons that you decided to go to this show and could potentially be taking some of the attention away from at least the HD Boutique show down in Miami and potentially from the HD show in Vegas.
I read last night that it's been called the fastest growing trade show in the U.S., the BDNY show. And some of the folks I spoke to definitely said that they felt that it was taking some action from HD Boutique, the Miami show. In terms of the HD Expo show in Vegas, I think that they still consider it very important. Obviously, it's a much bigger show, but this one more exclusively draws on those key designers that they're looking for. And as it is, some folks who said it used to be the last couple of years that the designers coming to the show were from the tri-state area. Whereas now they're seeing they're drawing from, all up and down the East Coast. People are attracted to the New York show. This was another growth year for it.
One of the reasons that it may be a potential distraction to that HD show in Vegas is because there are a lot of designers in New York that shows in New York. Those of us that go to Vegas 3 or 4 times a year get kind of worn out with the 4-hour flight and the $13 taxi cab rides. So I can see where it'd be attractive to have everything right there close.
And you look at the density of just population from D.C. to New York. I mean, that corridor is massive unto itself, so that's served by this show. And some folks were saying that the HD Boutique show in Florida is perhaps trending more towards being an America's show, as in integrating Latin America and focusing on that market, whereas this one will tend to consolidate more the U.S. designer perspective.
So did you see anything that was interesting? Did you have any good conversations? Give us a quick rundown on your experience at the show.
Yeah, in terms of conversations, I had a lot of great conversations, most of them about how completely psyched people were about the show. It was definitely another growth year, and they feel that this trend is just going to continue. I visited, one of the more interesting ones was Shaw, which had a partnership with an interesting group out of Vancouver called Farm Boy Fine Arts. So they had a massive collection on the floor of sort of abstract design, and one of the things that was interesting about it is that what they had on the floor, at least, was carpet tile. And so it's good to see more carpet tile at these shows. Obviously, it's the same with Interface. They had carpet tile down. And other than that, I didn't see that much more from folks who do carpet tile. They tended to show more broadly, like Maslin, for instance. I spoke to folks about where the strength of the market was, and generally the agreement was that the luxury end was the one that was trending the most right now, and a lot of them were growing in that area.
So a lot of the renovation in the hospitality market's on the 4- and 5-star properties?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's key renovation because it really is all renovation.
And the reason you take exception with calling out carpet tile is because this has been one of those vertical sectors that's been a little bit resistant to change, right?
Yeah, particularly like, let's say on the guest room side, it's a price issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side is more of a design and technology issue. And they've had more luck, I think, on the public space side so far, even though they're all pretty confident that on the room side, once people figure out the math, they should do well too.
Yeah, actually, I was talking to Dan Hendricks with Interface last year in Vegas at the HD show, and he was telling me that, you know, if they set up the beds so that the platforms go to the floor, it cuts down on the amount of space in the room, and it kind of changes the economic equation.
Yeah, and also once they just start to look at the life cycle cost versus the upfront cost, I think that in and of itself also changes the equation. So there's definitely room for carpet tile in that market. It's just a question of how it finds its place. One of the most interesting things about this show is the booth sizes. They're all like 10 by 10 or 10 by 20, except for some sort of collaborated seating areas. But other than that, the actual show spaces are that size, which some people like Shaw, I'm sure, would appreciate if they could do a much bigger booth. But on the whole, it creates a great atmosphere, much more of a market and less of a show. You know, so you walk down and you keep on seeing folks one after another, almost like a bazaar sort of setting. So I think that's what helps it work. Also, the other thing that people like about it, that is one of the keys to its success, seems to be that it's a 2-day show. So everybody gets in there, they work fast, they do their stuff, the booths aren't that big, they can go and see everyone, get everything done within 2 days, and everybody's happy.
You know, actually, other shows could learn from this because in this world of sustainability, there's a lot of waste when you ship these 10,000 square foot booths.
Yeah, some people were specifically referencing that as well.
Well, Darius, thanks for a rundown on the show. Again, been talking to Darius Helm about the BDNY show held Sunday and Monday of this week. Darius is the executive editor with Floor Focus, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.